to Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp. We're back. We haven't posted in a few months because we've been at camp, living, laughing and loving.
Who's we, Caitlin?
Oh yes, it's me, Caitlin. And I'm here with Zara.
Woo! Hello.
And today we're just going to chat to each other and just chat at you guys about our experience at camp this summer. We're both back now, working, living, laughing and loving.
We basically miss camp. We are both sad, small beings right now. So we decided what better way to tackle that than to talk about what has made us sad. Well, it didn't really make us sad.
We're sad because it's over. But yeah, so we're back in the AmeriCamp office and we're just going to talk about our summers.
Guess who's back?
And sort of recap. But
back again.
Then we'll sort of go into specific details in future episodes about specific things like orientations, days off.
My gosh, orientation seems like genuinely years ago.
Exactly. So we can talk about that in a separate episode. So Zara.
Hello.
What camp did you go to this summer?
So for those of you that are our seasoned listeners, top fans, you know you're out there. I went back to Camp Towanda for my third summer there in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, which is middle of nowhere, and had Summer of a Lifetime Part 3. Where did you go to, Caitlin?
I spent my summer at Camp Pembroke in Massachusetts. It was like 45 minutes south of Boston, which is fantastic. And I had the best time, and yeah, it was amazing. It was my first time at that camp, and I just fell in love with it immediately, and I had the best time ever.
Do you think you've found your camp now? Because Caitlin has been once again, to the seasoned listeners, you'll already know this, but so those of you that are new around here, Caitlin has been to 2 other camps before. So this was her third camp, completely different camp type as well.
Yeah, this was my first time at an all-girls camp, which was very fun. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I think I enjoyed it more than the co-ed camps, personally, just because there's no drama with any boys, for counsellors and for the campers as well. We can talk about that a lot more like in a different episode if we want to go into like all girls camp specific. But yeah, it was my first time at an all girls camp and I just loved it, and I couldn't see myself at a different kind of camp than an all girls camp because it was so cute.
I love that you've like come back and you're like, no, I found my place now. I found my camp. That's so nice.
Did you have the same kids?
I had the same kids that I had last summer, yeah. So last summer they were 14 and 15, and this summer they were 15 and 16. The majority of them were 16. But there's a couple little babies that turned 15 in the summer. No, turned 16 in the summer, sorry. But yeah, so it was so nice, having that same group. Getting to go back and just be with them after like a year away. I'd seen obviously them like posting throughout the year, and they'd text me being like, oh, I miss you, I can't wait to see you and stuff, but nothing kind of prepares you for that, I guess, like reunion of, oh my gosh, we're back.
How was that? How was the not just like seeing all your co-counselors but seeing your kids again?
Oh, it was amazing. We at like my camp, we have a thing where the oldest, because they were technically the oldest age group at camp, of campers, we'll say, there's still LITs that are above them, which is sort of this middle group between camper and counsellor. But we have a thing where the oldest campers will arrive a day earlier than the rest of camp, so that they're there to kind of like greet the rest of camp upon arrival on the first day of the summer. So I went to like a mall in New Jersey somewhere and picked them up on one of those big charter buses, and it was great. It was crazy. Most of them were like already there when we arrived, so I'm like arriving to this car park and then just see them all from like a few rows away, and I'm running over to them like, oh my gosh. It was like one of those like movie scenes where you like reunite. But yeah, it was so nice.
How was this summer like, because obviously it was your third summer, like how did this compare to the other two? Like, was it different? Was it the same? Like, how did it compare? Because I know we spoke about this before you went. So once again, our seasoned listeners can go back and listen to like our pre-camp podcast to see what our thoughts and feelings were.
It was, every summer is different. And although it's like it's the same camp, same like people saying campers in this respect, it's still so different to the one before. And you just have, like, you'll know, like, camp is filled with so many little moments and experiences that, like, it just can't compare to the one before. Obviously they're like a year older, so they've got new, like, opinions on things, new ideas. They, like, have just changed so much in a year, like, as all of the kids do. But I feel like at that age specifically, like, they were all so focused on, like, oh, what do I want to do at college now? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, slow down a bit. But it was, yeah, I can't even put into words how great it is just being able to go back and reunite with all of your friends that you've been counsellors with before, you know, people I haven't seen in a whole year, but like would talk to you every day pretty much. Then you reunite and it's like no time has passed at all, but at the same point, you've all grown up a year older. Even like seeing senior staff, it's like seeing your like long lost American mum. So yeah, it was amazing. I want to go back and do it all over again. I was with like the oldest ones. You were with upper camp kids as well, weren't you?
Yeah, my kids were the oldest like campers before the obviously like CAs or LITs or CITs or whatever you call them, or SITs as they were at my first camp. Yeah, so I had like the oldest division age group. They were called Urush, and they were 14, 15, and they were just amazing. Like, I've had the oldest kids before at my first camp, so I sort of had that experience of being with that age group. And obviously they're all different kids and they're from different areas and things like that, but they were great. Like, I had a really good group of kids and I was really happy with it.
How did you find being in a new area as well? Because isn't this 3 different states as well that you're on now? She's a seasoned traveler, honestly.
Yeah. So this one, as I said before, was in Massachusetts. Like, it wasn't too far from Boston. The location was great. Like, it wasn't far from Boston. It wasn't far from the Cape. And it was just like great. And like, even like in the local area, there was like shops and like Target and like a CVS. And like, if you wanted to go and get a Dunkin' coffee, there was like 3 minutes away. Like, I haven't had that at my other camp, so that was quite nice. Just to have that even in the local area, it felt a little bit more freeing. But yeah, it was great. Like, I just throughout my whole time, like on days off and stuff like that, I just fell in love with Massachusetts. Like, I think it might be my favorite state.
Really?
Bold statement.
Big bold statement.
But yeah, it was great. It was truly fantastic.
I found out this summer that Martha's Vineyard is where Jaws was filmed.
I did not know that.
You didn't? No. See? Learn something new every day.
Look at me go.
We went and someone was like, yeah, it's basically an American Cornwall, but like a bit bougier. And I was like, oh, sick, sounds great, lush, love it. And then we rocked up and there's all this shark stuff everywhere. And I was like, what's the deal? Like, am I going to get eaten by a shark? And then someone said, oh no, Jaws was filmed there.
Oh my God.
I was like, no way, that's so cool.
That's so fun though.
Yeah.
What was like the best part of the summer? Like, I know you can't say it. Why don't we say best like special event?
Girls Sing was big highlight for me this year. It always is.
Do you want to explain what that is?
Apologies.
For the non-season listeners.
Non-campies here. Girls Sing is an event. I don't know if they do it at every camp, but I know they do it quite a lot. I've just from my TikTok research. But it's basically an evening every summer that we have where girls camp will divide into their age groups. Some age groups will merge, so they make a nice little super group. But the 2 oldest age groups stay on their own, and they basically do just like a singing competition, I guess. Really, that's why it's called Girls Sing. But it's every like group has their own theme. So the little ones this year were the 2 youngest age groups called the Debs and Dillies, and they were the Debs and Dillies Girl Scout troop.
Wait, what does that mean? What are their names short for?
Just Debs and Dillies.
Really?
Yeah, so like the little babies are called the Debs. Oh. The ones above them are called the Dillies.
That's so cute.
Then it's the tweens. Then it goes juniors, inters, nationals, seniors, dorm. And then on boys it's jets, cadets, middies, and then it goes juniors up to club. So it's like the same names for upper camp, but lower camp have their own little distinct ones.
That's so cute. Like that. Oh my God. I love it.
But then it was like the inters and the nationals mix, and they were international final jam or something like that. It was like Camp Rock themed. The tweens and juniors, they're like always the T's and J's. So it was like T's and J's, one night of peace, love, and something else. And it was Woodstock themed because our camp is like 20 minutes away from Woodstock. And then the seniors were the senior Smash Bros. And then the dorm girls, who were my kids, were Dorm Avengers, which was so fun because I'm obsessed with Marvel and the Avengers. And they told me that they were picking this theme, and I was like, yes. But the special thing about the dorm is every other age group, all of camp knows what their theme is, but the dorm theme is kept a secret. And some people take it upon themselves to leak this and try and figure out the theme just because it's a fun little game, I guess, for them. But my kids didn't get their theme leaked. And they're like the first group in, I don't know, the last like 10 years, say, that hasn't had their theme leaked, which was crazy. And they go like all out. They get like t-shirts designed and they have nicknames on the back of it. And they do like scenery that goes in the back of it. And they basically write songs to other songs. They use like the like beat and like I don't know,
karaoke version.
Yeah, to other songs, but they write it about camp and about their theme. So like you're then judged at the end of it on like appropriateness to theme, appropriateness to camp, like whether you included all the different aspects about camp. And they do like a clap in the middle where they do like a little dance of all these like claps and kicks and whatever else.
Clap in the middle.
It's like, I will have to show you the video because it's actually sick. Like it gives me chills like thinking about it. But it's like a 2-minute long like clapping like sequence.
That's so
but like
cool.
they clap on like their shoulders and they're like, it's not just like,
I love
it's
that.
Like, and it looks sick. And they do it all like choreographed. And like my girls had like moves where they would be like, their arms would be going up and down. And then with like 23 of them all in one like square, all doing that at the same time. Like it looked so cool. But yeah, and then they vote like a winner at the end, and my girls won this year.
Oh
so
my God.
It was crazy. They were reading out the scores, and the girls like there's like loads of different categories that you can win, and they only ever say which group has won that category. They don't say like who was second and third and fourth and fifth. And my girls won like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 categories it was sounding like, and it was getting towards the end and they all start crying because they think that they've lost. Aww. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And it's obviously like, it's about having fun, but everybody wants to win.
They want to win.
And I feel like in your dorm year as well, it's this sort of assumption that you're gonna win because you're the oldest, and like they do it all without any counsellor help. Like they come up with all of this on their own, whereas the younger groups have counsellor help. So they're all like freaking out that they're going to lose. And then they go, so then the winner of Girls Sing, the Dorm Avengers. And they all went psycho.
Aww.
And it was, honestly, it was like one of the like core memory for me. Like just being in, and we're in the middle of the field house. Boys camp all sit and watch it. They're all super nice about it. They like clap them along. They made signs being like, yeah, dorm, go dorm girls. And yeah, we're all just jumping in the middle, like cheering. I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I literally get chills talking about it right now. But I love that event normally, but this year it was extra special for me. I loved it. What about you?
I think if we're staying on the theme of special events, I'd probably say Colour War. Yes. Not because it's like I was like involved in it, but it was because it was my campers that were running the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's like once you're in the oldest age group, like the Yarouche girls run the whole of Colour War, like literally the whole thing. Basically, if you don't know what Colour War is, I'm sure you do, but camp just splits into 2, like there's 2 different colours. At my camp, it was gold and blue. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's some sort of history there because my camp colours aren't gold or blue. And there's like captains, there's lieutenants, there's colonels, and they like run the whole thing. Obviously, it's my age group that are running it, but for like weeks leading up to it, they wear a camera around their neck. They wear a GoPro always around their neck in case Colour War breaks.
No way.
So they're just waiting for it to break, like any minute, like going to breakfast, like even during shower hour, they're like, should I shower? Like, what if Colour War breaks? And they're just waiting to hear these whistles because it always breaks with like people blowing whistles. And then you just like run to where the whistles are. So there was even times where like other kids would blow whistles and like try and prank them.
Yeah.
And there was like the age group below mine were all like, they like lived up on the hill and they all blew whistles and they came running out of my bunk. And I was like, what is happening? They sprinted up and it was like a prank this whole time. Kids were falling over, like getting battered from falling because it was raining as well. So it was crazy. So yeah, like they ran the whole thing. And then we had the break, which happened genuinely on the rainiest day like ever. Like this rain was torrential. It was like at one point it was like, is this even going to happen? But it was made it way more memorable, I think. It was so much more dramatic. and I was on the media team, so I had to try and film it, and like I was soaked through trying to cover this phone. But it was just so cute because it was my girls and they were so excited and they were like crying and everything, and they read the names off of who like was going to run the whole thing, and they were all crying, and then I was like crying, and then everyone was crying.
It's also with how you were saying that they run the whole thing, 'cause my camp do it similar. We have camper captains and there's boys and girls that they were also my kids this year, like as the oldest. Although like they run it in the thing, they don't know that they're going to run it up until like, do you call it breakout? Yeah.
Like when it breaks.
Yeah. So that, and they don't know up until that point. So it's like the tension of it all as well, isn't it? It's crazy.
And they're guessing like who is gonna be like the chosen ones, basically. Yeah. And then you've got like 3 days of just madness of like games and like learning team chants and like doing races and things. It's just craziness for 3 days. These poor kids are just so stressed. But it was so fun and so amazing to see them all step into these leadership roles. Yeah, and it was just amazing, and I was very proud of them.
It's one of those as well, like, is your camp sort of the ones where like they'll go from 7, 8 or 9 years old and then they'll kind of stay until the end? Yeah, so like some of those kids have been waiting like 8 or 9 years to be in this like oldest age group, this sort of like esteemed age group where everyone's looking up to you as the leaders of camp, because they'll have been the leaders of camp throughout the whole summer, you know, as the oldest, and, you know, setting the example for the little ones. But then it's kind of the culmination of everything is that final colour wall where they get to do that.
Yeah.
And it's special.
And there's a lot of feelings that go into that as well, because it's their last summer, like as campers. But like they've waited literally their whole camp lives for these 3 days, which is insane. And then it happens, and then it's done, and then everyone just like forgets about it, which is really sad. But it was just 3 days of madness, and it was good fun. I really enjoyed it.
I'm getting like chills thinking about it. Like we had so many conversations prior to we call it Olympics at my camp, not colour war, but it's the same thing. It's like we have a red and blue team for 5 days that we do it.
5 days?
Yeah, it's tiring.
Jeez.
And we have like the camper captains, and there's 6 girls, 3 on each team, and 6 boys. And then we have lieutenants, who are the LITs, 2 boys and 2 girls split on the teams. And then we have generals, which are counsellors that get split 6 and 6, again, with boys and girls. But yeah, it's crazy, like the tension leading up to it. And like, it's always the not knowing when it's going to happen. And everybody like predicts when they think that breakout is going to happen.
Yeah, like they're doing maths to try and figure it out.
Literally, I took my camera. We were going to line up to go to dinner one day, and we had an activity called like air bands that evening, and everyone thought it was going to be after air bands. And I left the bunk, and then weirdly I just decided to run back in and grab the camera quickly, because I was like, just in case something happens. So we have like generally 3 fake outs, which is like a fake break of Olympics, and they're organised by the oldest boys, and they like pick the themes and they organise it all and everything. And so we were like, they might do that, we don't know. So I went and got my camera, and then I'm filming everyone going, when do you think it's going to be breakout? When do you think it's going to be breakout? Thank goodness that I took my camera, because it was straight from dinner, and like we were all sat there at dinner, and everybody is like on the edge of their seats shaking because they think that it could be soon. And we looked over to the head table, and we have like 3 head tables. The main one was full, and then the 2 at the side were pretty much empty. And we're like, where has all the senior staff gone?
Yeah.
And then everybody goes, right, it's now. And it's just waiting for them to do it. And like with the whistles, like I'm literally getting chills. Like I can feel my like hair on edge right now. But the way that you said about whistles, it's a Pink Floyd song, and it's called Is There Anybody Out There? And it starts, and it's so like creepy. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, what is this? And it goes like, is there anybody out there? And it's like terrifying for those of people that like haven't like experienced it before. But we're all waiting, and then they play it, and everybody just screams, stands up from their seats. This like marching band come into the dining hall, and we're all like, what is going on? We go out into like the alley next to the dining hall, and it's Mardi Gras, like, and everyone's throwing like beads at us. And then we run to this like pavilion area in camp, and it's like there's country like line dancers on hay bales, and like the marching band, and there's people running around with like Mardi Gras flags and in like masks and stuff, and it was crazy. It was genuinely mental. But like and like I look, and the oldest boys have like a semicircle and then the oldest girls have the same so that they can like run when their name gets called and they run to like the banners. And they're like, I look around all the girls and they're all literally like, I can see them trembling and they're crying. And they're not crying in like sadness, they're just so emotional that they can't figure out how to like handle it. And it's like, it's finally happening, what's about to happen. And like, oh my gosh, like I was with like the oldest girls my first year, but I didn't really know what was going on when all this was happening. I was kind of just like, oh, it's the Olympics, I guess. But then this year, knowing how important it was, knowing the girls really well, it was so crazy to experience it all.
Oh, 100%. Like, it got to the point in the summer where, like, mathematically it had to happen on this, like, one day or, like, these 2 days. So that whole day, I was so, like, nervous. Because I wanted to make sure it was, like, it went, like, well. And I also wanted to make sure I was filming it, too, because obviously I was on the media team. So I was, like, stressed about this whole thing.
Did you not get told, like, prior to it happening that it was happening?
No one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it got to the point where it was like, oh, we're doing an evening activity and it's counsellor hunt, which is basically you go hide around the camp and the campers have to come find you. And they're like, oh, counsellors, like, come over here and get your sheet and like it'll tell you where to go. So they give us these little sheets of paper and they're like, walk up this way, and I open it and it says, keep quiet and be calm. Like, colour war is breaking. Like, just walk up to the front of the lodge, just like calm as you can. And I'm like, it's happening.
So I would not have been able to keep calm with that.
Right?
I'm literally just as bad as the kids. As soon as I hear the song, I go berserk.
So
like, I'm genuinely like a 7-year-old.
So the campers are like thinking that they're having to look for the counsellors. Like, some of them, like, they are feeling suspicious, so they kind of have an idea.
Yeah.
But then we all walk up to like the front of camp and then we just start running. Once the kids can't see us, we just run and we go and hide up at the front of the camp. It's torrential rain, like torrential. But it doesn't even, like, who cares? Like, it doesn't even matter. And we just wait in and then we like blow the whistles, all the kids come running up, and then we do like reading the names, the teams and all this. And then after that, we all walk down to like the lake and the beach, and they have to dig in the sand to find like 2 sides of a heart. One is gold and one is blue. Whoever digs first and finds that side, that's what team you're on. And all the people are on that team based off like where you find this side of a wooden heart. So it's like totally random if you're going to be gold or blue based off if you find it.
So you know who's on your team, but you don't know what the team
colour
is.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's sick.
So like they have to wear socks so they can dig, so they're not like cutting their fingers in the sand. So they're wearing socks for like 3 weeks straight just in case. And they're just digging, and they were digging for 8.5 minutes straight in the sand, like looking for these hearts. And it was torrential rain, and it was just insane. And then they find it, and they're like, "Oh my god! Like, I have the gold like side of the heart, like it's just this wooden heart." And it was just like absolute madness. And then like
so
all the
cool.
other kids like went back to the bunks after it had all finished, and obviously I had the older kids, so they all went and like rinsed off in the lake, and they just ran in. It's like full on thunder and lightning.
Oh my gosh.
And like torrential rain, and they just run into the lake and just dive in. And it was like such a like, it was dark as well, it was nighttime.
Oh my god.
And it was like such like a core memory. Like, I know but it was just like, this is so sweet. And like moments like that, it's like, oh, it's so nice to have the older kids. And then I was on OD that night, so it was just madness. It was just soaked through. Like, the bunk was just disgusting. But yeah, that was just like so special, and I loved it. It was so fun.
I love that. I love the whole GoPro thing as well. The like filming every minute.
Always.
We have like, because everybody, like, our camp goes on trips at like a certain point in the summer. The like 3 oldest age groups will all go on trips for the week. So like we obviously went to Boston for like 5 days. The people above us went to Cleveland for 5 days, and then the people below went to Lake George in New York. And it's kind of, when everyone's back from trips, you then know that it's like within like say like 3 or 4 days of everyone returning, colour war's about to happen. As soon as everyone gets back from those trips, they all start, like the girls especially, having these conversations of like, okay, are we sleeping in sports bras tonight? Are we gonna sleep in like a full outfit? Even like this whole airbands activity that we were supposed to have and then ended up having it after Olympics because Olympics broke. My girls were doing, it's basically like a lip sync battle, and my girls were doing JoJo Siwa, and they were all gonna wear the makeup from like the probably like one of my exes. And they were all going to wear that. And then they all kind of had like a really intense conversation about it, going, wait, guys, do we want to wear this makeup if it's going to be Olympics? Because there's going to be photos of us like running to the banners. Do we want to look like idiots crying this black makeup off? And I was like, yes, do it. That's so funny. They were like, no, Zara, we can't. We really can't. So we decided that they would put it on, but we would take makeup wipes. Mm-hmm. I was like, you're not going to be able to wipe it off your face if you're running somewhere, but okay. And then that never happened in the end. I love Olympics. Mm-hmm. That's like my favourite week of the year. Mm-hmm. I have like so many good memories from it. Do you have as well, like, so our field house, which is our biggest indoor building for like activities, there's like a stage in there for the plays. Mm-hmm. We have like a basketball court, and we go in there to like, I don't know, do quite a lot of the evening activities. Around the walls, there's the Olympic plaques. Yeah. Which is like, there'll be a red one and a blue one for every year. Mm-hmm. I think it started back in like the 50s at my camp. So there's plaques up on the wall from like the 1950s with these random people's names on. Some of them like I recognise because it's like kids that are there now. It's like their parents or their grandparents, which is crazy. Yeah. But like it'll have like the camp captains, the generals, the lieutenants or whatever. That's right up until now. So it's like those kids that get picked, like their name is on that plaque for years to come. Mm-hmm. Well, for like the rest of time basically. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to think about as well. And it's like you're like putting yourself like there in history now.
That is crazy.
Which is like so special. Do you have that with like the plaques?
Yeah, so like all around like the gym, it's like they're like based off the theme of Colour Wars. So there's always like a theme. So this year it was like Wizard of Oz. So like they'd each do like a blue side and a gold side with like it wasn't even a plaque. Like I have had at other camps. They like roll up tissue paper and they like make it with balls of tissue paper. It was crazy. Like, what? I'll have to show you some pictures. Like, it looks insane. They've made something with tissue paper.
That's crazy.
And it's like they stay up there like forever. But like,
oh my gosh,
you can see them from like so many years ago, which is amazing. Yeah. But yeah, they did it with tissue paper, which I'd never seen before, which was really cool.
I was just on like like a big like square piece of
like wooden
board. Yeah,
that's what I've seen at the other camps, but this one was different, which I thought was quite cool.
That's cool that they like do their own little thing. Yeah, 100%. That's interesting. I always find it so interesting to see how different camps like do the exact same tradition, but in such like their own way. Mm-hmm. Like everything's always so like personalized. Yeah, which is nice. To completely switch it up now from what we were just talking about, when we got back into the office, everyone was saying that we both looked tanned, which is great for me because I never tanned. You tan really easily. Mm-hmm. My camp was actually on a heat advisory for like 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks to be fair, of this whole summer, and was like humid to the point that it was just uncomfortable. What was it like for you? Because you said that you had a lot of rain, which I find so interesting because I just think like, oh, we're in the same country, but then I forget that America's massive.
We didn't have a lot of rain, but it was like it'd rain for a week and then it would be really, really hot for a week. And then it'd be like medium for a week. And then it wasn't too crazy in any way.
It was just like...
But it was hot.
Yeah.
It's like the kind of heat where obviously there's no like air conditioning or anything in most of the bunks. No. I don't know if they had them in yours, but we didn't have them in ours.
We have like plug-in fans, like box fans.
Yeah. And then you'd step out of the shower and you'd want to be clean, but then you'd just be disgusting within like a minute.
Literally, because of the humidity. Yeah. You would just sweat instantly.
It's just very humid and stinky.
It wasn't great.
But that's camp.
It was, exactly. And everyone's there in the same boat as well, so it's not even like, oh, I feel gross, because it's like, everyone does, so
everyone else is stinky, it's fine.
We had like super warm, but then most nights it would be torrential rain to try and like, we'd have thunderstorms every 2 minutes. So it like rained a lot, but in times where it wasn't really that inconvenient for us.
Overnight. That's quite nice though, like you're lying in bed, you're in a bunk, like...
And you can hear the rain outside. You can hear the rain.
Yeah. That's nice.
I'd love that. We had a hurricane on the last day of camp.
Jesus.
That was like when it was like packing day, when all the kids had left. It was like a hurricane that was coming up from like Jamaica or something. And it travelled like through the States. And it wasn't like quite a proper hurricane by the time it got to us, but it was like the remnants of one. So it was like the road out the front of camp completely flooded. And we had to do like all of the bag packing like completely different, like putting them onto like the big tractors because the like trucks couldn't get onto camp and stuff like that. So it was crazy weather, I would say, this summer in terms of any kind of weather. Yeah. Like there was a tornado at one point, I think, like there was trees falling.
That's weird.
It was wild.
It's like for me, like my first summer was really hot. There was heat waves all the
Yeah.
time. Second summer was like rainy, overcast. The forest fires had like happened just before, so it was like smoky. Like the weather was not great. But then this summer it was just like a great mixture. Like it was good. It wasn't too sunny all the time, which is nice. But
Now
also I
obviously
do
we're
love
back
the sun, and I did miss it.
Yeah. And now we're back in rainy Manchester.
So yeah, we have so many stories from this summer. We've talked a lot. I'm sorry if it's been too much, but there's just so much. Like that only covered literally 5% of it. So I'm sure
like
we'll
a
be
week of
back.
camp that we just spoke about.
Literally 3 days. Like, yours was like 5 days, and we just spent so long talking about it. So sorry about that, guys. We'll do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever, just about everything else. We just spoke about Olympics and colour war for way too long. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for listening.
If you have anything specific that you want to hear, just reach out, let us know. And yeah, thank you guys. Have fun in life. Sign up for AmeriCamp 2025. Love you. Bye.
Bye.